Alright, it's been a busy past couple weeks, and shot a bunch of video. I just haven't had a chance to do anything with it. Unfortunately, things have been super busy between getting the truck ready for the Pikes Peak air attack. Got it on the dyno on Wednesday, and I'll talk a little bit through that. So this will be a kind of a compilation video, just kind of get things caught up to date before the Pikes Peak race on Saturday. So the video ran on the dyno. I was really just hoping to do one pull, but there was a problem with the dyno going off scale, so they had to do a second one. Unfortunately, they don't let you run the dyno, and they don't even let you be in the same room as the run, so you just kind of have to give it to the operator, give them the instructions, and hope it works out. Good news is 630 some odd horsepower at the wheels. They use a 13% correction, which gets like 717 if I remember right. I'll post up the actual screenshots from the dyno. Unfortunately, I didn't get actual data. The screenshots is all that they could give me. The dyno that they're running was running Windows 98 and couldn't output any data. So that was kind of disappointing. Got to the big thing for that was figuring out what gearing to use with the lightened motor. It came out to the torque peak was 2700 RPM. That was at 3000 amps with a pack that was started at 330, but then it probably sagged down into the 280, 290, or 290 around there. I'll throw up the screenshot you guys can see. So based off that, put the 308s back in, running the taller tire. That should hopefully get me to out in the 150 to 160 range in the half mile. We'll see. I am a bit worried how hot the motors got on that dyno pull. It was about 10-15 seconds. Should be okay because it was a 3000 amp pull, but it's only 1500 amps per string of motors. But it was surprising how hot they got. I guess the big difference, delta from this compared to the motors I'm used to is these motors had the fans removed, so there was no actual airflow going over that. Gonna fix that by slapping on a CO2 cooling just to get some sort of airflow over that for the actual race. I was really hoping to avoid that, but then again, I saw how I felt how hot it is. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my IR camera. I should have, but it's been a long couple weeks with big deadline at work, so 14-hour days, and working on the truck. And this weekend's going to be a really busy one. We've got obviously running the truck at the Pikes Peak Airstrip attack, trying to see if we can set some new records for the half-mile event. Wife's actually running the Bolt at an SCCA event on the same day. If things go well, I might actually go over and join her because I was supposed to do that as well, but I think I'll probably be too busy. And then we're both racing the Bolt and SCCA event on Sunday as well. So a whole lot of, and then last minute thrashes, getting everything done, and then top that off, we're leaving for a big road trip and gonna actually take some vacation, and so we got to get all ready for that. So it's pretty hectic couple weeks, but hopefully things will go well on Saturday and Sunday and make it all worthwhile. And it's gonna be all worthwhile one way or the other. I just hope it makes it down the track with the motors intact. These motors, remember, were used from John Metric at Lone Star. They've been gone around the block quite a few times, it sounds like. Rebuilt the top ends, brushes, brush holders, cleaned up the comm, etc. So I'm all happy with that, but I'm worried about how hot those windings have gotten in the past and on the dyno, and we'll have to see what happens. But so I'll throw the video. As far as Sylent, Nice thing is I put the airbags on so that with the taller tires I can actually get it on the trailer so I don't have to flat tow it. That makes life a lot easier, especially I have to tow it down to Colorado Springs to do the, because it's about 80 miles away. She still is street legal and I could drive it, but A, I want to show up there with a full pack, and B, I don't want to push my luck of driving that far and then going to race and then having to drive it back. I completely redid the rear brakes on the dyno run. The rear brakes were dragging really bad. I'll show the video from that, but I'm pretty sure it was the adjuster for the integral parking brake. It's got this ratchet mechanism that is supposed to self-adjust. I think that wasn't working because we had to flip the calipers over to clear the airbags that we have on the rear, and I think unfortunately I don't know how those calipers really work. It's kind of as far as the emergency mechanism that's built inside of the piston. It's kind of a black box, so I'm assuming that's what it is, but I took those off and then just put regular calipers on, and there's all the drags out of it. It was enough that when the rear brakes were dragging so much that when you walk by, you could feel the heat radiating through the wheel, through the hubcap, and through your pant leg. It was enough that the driver's side caliper was actually discolored. It cooked it enough. So obviously that was robbing quite a bit of power on the dyno. I actually took it to a shop to have them take a look at it. Felt all dumb that I couldn't figure out why the emergency brake wasn't releasing, and they had it for half a day, and they said they couldn't figure it out either. Come pick it back up. So quick answer was $15 for some remanufactured calipers, and just threw those on there, and hopefully before the race we'll see. Probably not. Get all these videos put out and posted, and then hopefully have some good news on the race, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, well, I've got new calipers on the rear. It was only like $15 for a pair of for each remanufactured caliper. Difference is this one doesn't have the emergency brake. I think probably what was going on was that the emergency brake or the parking brake was ratcheting, but it wasn't releasing. There's a self-adjusting mechanism in there, and I'm not sure if it got damaged or if the fact that the caliper was upside down was affecting it. I don't think it should, but best theory. The reason why I had to mount it upside down makes it harder to bleed, and you don't generally want to do that, but the parking brake cable would interfere with the airbags, so that was kind of the only option there. But without that, now the bleeder is on top of what it's supposed to be, and should be easier to bleed, and caliper is certainly easier to install. So hopefully that solves that issue. Friend Corey came over, and he redid the 12-volt wiring under the dash. There was an old connector in there that had broken out, so now with that wired, that fixed all the brake lights now actually work. Brakes, turn signals, etc., etc. And then so the other part is up here. from the dyno run. I was really surprised how hot the leads on the brushes got, and the comms and everything in here. I really wish I would have brought the thermal camera to the dyno. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I didn't. But anyway, it got very hot and uncomfortably so. I rummaged around and found these parts. These are all brake line parts. So I'm going to hook up the cooling system. Since I've got the bottle, I've got the mount, etc. I just need to wake up brackets for this. And I'll have the bottle up so it just sprays gas as opposed to liquid. I'm not really trying to like super cool anything. I just want to provide airflow. I have a couple like radiator fans, 12 volt. I thought about hooking those up just to blow some air across. But this is actually the easiest solution, and it'll actually provide cool air and plenty of it. So I'm going to go with that route. All right, go ahead and crack it.